What just happened today proves that the nation-state race over Bitcoin between America and China is escalating, okay? If you guys weren't paying attention, literally today, Donald Trump came out and he says that if we don't embrace Bitcoin, China will. And I found it really coincidental that on the exact same day, today, July 18th, an old article from 6 weeks ago was actually circulating that was talking about the world's largest bank, which is a Chinese bank, ICBC, said that gold's problem of divisibility is actually inconvenient and Bitcoin is the solution to it. And we know that there's been a lot of rumors this week of China reversing their Bitcoin ban. At this stage, they're just rumors. But does this headline from the world's largest bank in China confirm that maybe these rumors are true? Today, we're going to be exploring all of that and more. And before we get into the most recent Trump news and why he might actually be embracing Jamie Dimon and positioning him to be Treasury of the Secretary and to be bullish on Bitcoin. And we're also going to talk about JD Vance, Trump's vice presidential nominee, so to say. But let's start talking about this news regarding China, because this is really strange. This is really interesting. Why has this only popped up in the past, well, today, on the same day that Trump has come out and said, we need to beat China to embracing Bitcoin because China will embrace it, almost confirming the rumors that have been circulating on Twitter all week. Okay, but let's break down this Chinese news. So we can see from the headline here, world's largest bank, ICBC, praises the evolution of Bitcoin. They also talk about a little bit of crypto action in there. We're not going to talk about crypto action. We're going to save that for the end of today's video. But we can see here, the world's largest lender and commercial bank of China, ICBC, has just published an in-depth analysis highlighting the rapid evolution and growing diversity in digital currencies, where it compared Bitcoin to gold and deemed, get this, Ethereum to digital oil. Yes, that's what they said. China's largest bank, believe it or not, pretty interesting. But this is interesting, obviously, because we have had all of these rumors about China all week, okay? Everybody's been talking about China. Everybody's been talking about, hey, there's rumors circulating that China is going to actually flip bullish on Bitcoin. But guess what other rumors have been circulating on Twitter today regarding Donald Trump and what he is going to announce at the Bitcoin conference in 1 week time at Nashville? Well, Dennis Porter tweeted this out today. Huge breaking, Trump to announce a USA Bitcoin strategic reserve in Nashville. Sources. You can see here that he actually commented underneath this thread, P.S. This is not a joke. My sources are credible. That tweet's nearly got 1 million views. And let me tell you, Dennis is a very serious man. He has talked to more government officials and politicians than anyone else in the Bitcoin space. Okay, Dennis's whole job is going to all of these different parliamentary meetings and educating politicians and government employees and government officials on how Bitcoin mining is actually benefiting the grid in America and why America needs to embrace Bitcoin. We are actually going to be filming an in-person interview with Dennis in Nashville, so stay tuned for that. But I'm telling you this because Dennis's sources are legit. I've known Dennis for a long time. He has done a lot of work with government employees and politicians. So again, a lot of people are saying this could just be BS. This could just be engagement farming. I'm not one of those, especially considering this video popped out regarding Donald Trump today. Let's play this one for you guys.
We will ensure that the future of crypto, to further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto. We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. Otherwise, other countries are going to have it.
So what other countries was he mentioning? China. Okay, of course, that is the news flying around today. Donald Trump is worried about China embracing Bitcoin. This is the article. You can see Donald Trump says, if we don't do it, China is going to figure it out and China is going to have it, or somebody else, he told Bloomberg in an interview. Now, this is obviously very different to Donald Trump's previous dismissals of Bitcoin, where he called it a scam and he says he wanted the US dollar to be king. things have certainly changed for Donald. Okay, very interesting words. And we can see here in May earlier in the year, he declared his intention to stop Joe Biden's crusade to crush crypto, a move that has resonated with the Bitcoin industry. Kay, if you guys didn't see that video where he said he would crush Joe Biden's crypto crusade, I believe I have a video for you guys I want to play as well. Okay, I'm just going to play this video. I apologize. One day I'm going to get a producer, I promise.
To further secure America's future, create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto, and we will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. We're going to keep it right here, and a lot of it's going to be done right here in Florida, right? And I will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great to further secure America's future.
A lot of the Bitcoin embracement is going to be done in Florida. Very, very, very interesting words coming from the potential next future president in America, Donald Trump. Okay, very, 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 very interesting. Okay, everybody's talking about Donald Trump. Everybody's talking about the fact that now we could potentially have somebody who already is a Bitcoiner in the vice president as well. That is obviously J.D. Vance. Everybody's talking about the fact that this man owns Bitcoin. He owns a lot of Bitcoin. That's a very, very, very big announcement, especially considering everything that's happening right now with America and China. Okay, everybody, especially Ray Dalio. I was not going to show you guys the chart, but now I am going to show you guys the chart, because Ray Dalio has this very interesting changing world order thesis where he has this idea of a 250-year long-term debt cycle. Sorry, no, he doesn't. He has this idea of an 80-year long-term debt cycle. And Dalio also has this 250-year empire cycle that he also talks about in his phenomenal book, The Changing World Order. I've read the book. I've read his other book on big debt crises, and they're incredible books. But this image right here that I'm about to show you guys essentially summarizes not only Ray Dalio's thoughts on the world today, but also many other people's thoughts on the world today. Most people make the analogy that the American empire is crumbling. Okay, now this is kind of what Dalio popularized in his book, The Changing World Order, because as you can see by this chart, Dalio studied, it was 10 great empires going back to the year 1500. And he said, look, this is really interesting. Typically, we actually see these empires dominate the world, and they go through these, 250-year cycles where they rise for around 250 years, but then they also decline for around 50 years, okay? And what's interesting is, Dalio, as well as others, a lot of people listen to Dalio, always mention this thesis. And they say, look, China is the rising global superpower that's about to become the global dominant hegemon. They're going to take over the global reserve currency from America. They're going to get bigger than America in regards to military and economically, okay? But I disagree with that. But it is looking like Donald Trump is aware of the threat. Think back to Donald Trump's first term of presidency in 2016 to 2020. He was actively opposing China. He was putting trade tariffs on China. He was doing lots of things that was actually, as his slogan said, making America great again. That's what Donald Trump was really campaigning on, the ability to make sure that America remained dominant in the future, okay? That's very interesting, okay? Now, that's kind of what's going on right now regarding China. Now, I want to show you another video about Donald Trump and his views on central bank digital currencies, because they contrast a lot with Joe Biden's views about central bank digital currencies and Joe Biden's people who he puts in office and supports economically. And that, of course, is Elizabeth Warren, okay? I'm going to play that video for you. I want to also walk you through what I think is really interesting in regards to nation-state treasuries. I think before we go there, though, I'm going to actually play the video. We've talked a lot about changing world order. We're going to talk a little bit more about the geopolitical chess game I think we're seeing and how Bitcoin fits into this in a moment, and how this really cool graphic about Bitcoin treasuries held by nation states plays into that. But I want to first play that video from Donald Trump for you guys, if you haven't seen it already, because this is a really interesting one, and it does summarize Donald Trump's views on central bank digital currencies.
So let's do a central bank digital currency.
Are you there?
Oh, for a central bank digital currency? Yeah. Yes.
I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
I just love how Donald Trump says Bitcoin in that video. It's brilliant, but you can see it's a stark difference. Okay, Donald Trump and the Republicans have a very different opinion on central bank digital currencies, freedom, and Bitcoin than Joe Biden and the Democrats do. Okay, they have starkly different views on freedom and sovereignty, and maybe now is an absolutely brilliant time and potentially one of the best times to tell you about how you can level up your own Bitcoin sovereignty. And this, of course, is a big shout out to our lead sponsor, Rhino Bitcoin. Okay, Rhino is a banking solution that combines the power of traditional finance with Bitcoin. Okay, it's created by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Rhino offers a range of services. You can buy Bitcoin, you can sell Bitcoin, you can withdraw to cold storage, which is a very important thing we always stress here on the channel. And you can even use Rhino to pay via the Lightning Network. You can also do cool things like purchase gift cards with sats at the click of the button. And you can even set up a multi-signature setup and connect to Casa to really help level up your Bitcoin security. So you guys can visit rhinobitcoin.com to download Rhino today and experience the future of Bitcoin banking. Okay, highly recommend you guys check out Rhino. They're a really cool new Bitcoin only application. But I teased it a second ago. Let's talk a little bit more about this geopolitical arms race that I think we're seeing today and how Bitcoin actually fits into it. Okay, we can see here, these are the list of countries that hold Bitcoin. We have the USA with 215,000. We have China, 190,000. We have the UK with 61,000. We no longer have Germany with 50,000. They don't own any Bitcoin. And a number of people commented on this post today and said, hey, Luke, fix your chart. There's no Germany in this chart. And it wasn't my chart, for the record. I just saw it today. You can see very clearly it has the Coinpedia logo on it. But again, we can see Ukraine, 46,000 Bitcoin. El Salvador, 5,600 Bitcoin. Now, what's interesting about this chart is El Salvador is the only nation on this list that didn't actually confiscate the Bitcoin. Like America, China, and apparently a lot of these other countries, the UK in particular, and Germany, they all confiscated their Bitcoin off other people. So we're already seeing potentially how a number of nation states are already thinking about Bitcoin. Hey, why don't we just seize it and not sell it for 10 years? Seems to be working pretty well, especially for the US, considering they've been squatting on those 200,000 coins of Bitcoin for a very long time, okay? Think about that for a moment. The USA has 213,000 Bitcoin. That's about 1% of the Bitcoin supply. Similar story with China, 190,000 Bitcoin. It's about 0.9% of the Bitcoin supply. So we have China and America racing each other. They both kind of have 1% of the Bitcoin supply, which is an interesting amount of Bitcoin to hold, okay? Very, very interesting indeed. I definitely wanted to talk about that. I also liked how the Bhutan is on that list. They are, again, the other nation alongside El Salvador who actually haven't seized Bitcoin. They've obviously been mining Bitcoin since 2019 from memory. Okay, we've broken down that story a number of times here on the channel. Kingdom of Bhutan has been secretly mining and buying Bitcoin since 2019. They are the other nation on that list, obviously, who has not seized their Bitcoin. Venezuela. Who remembers the stories of Venezuela? They were sending like military police through the homes of all their citizens looking for Bitcoin mining operations. We've also done videos on that in the past, but they have seized the 240 Bitcoin that they own, okay? Very interesting, very interesting. Now that we have people like Donald Trump who's coming out and saying things like this.
And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
He's protecting self-custody in America, which is really interesting. He's saying, I'm going to keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. But some people aren't quite completely bought into the Trump story. And again, I'd like to caution everyone, don't ever trust a politician, okay? Politicians are going to say everything you want to hear in the run-up to an election, okay? Just let's put that caveat in there. Who knows what Trump's going to do? Could he do a backflip? Sure, he certainly could. Don't pin your hopes and dreams on one politician's campaign promises for your investment advice, okay? The only reason we're talking a little bit about politicians today and Trump and China is I think the geopolitical arms race is the bigger signal here in this story, okay? Who cares what a politician says about Bitcoin? It's the fact that we have the two largest nation states in the world right now racing to be the #1 Bitcoin nation, okay? Let's not forget Hong Kong just approved a Bitcoin spot ETF a couple of months ago, okay? That also should be considered in this story, okay? Hong Kong is essentially a proxy country for China. They're controlled by China, essentially. Okay, so we can see here, while we're talking about Trump and while we're talking about the downsides of Trump and the risks and things to be aware of, some people are saying, look, Donald Trump said that he was going to be draining the swamp. A lot of people said that. And what's he doing electing a banker, Jamie Dimon, to be potential next Treasury Secretary of America? It's a valid question that people are asking. Very valid question. It's an interesting question. Does this mean Jamie Dimon is flipping bullish on Bitcoin? I don't know. Let's not forget, only a couple of months ago, he was asked about Bitcoin at the World Economic Forum's conference in Davos. And he says, look, I don't want to talk about it ever again. I'm done. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. Did he know something? Was there a reason he didn't want to talk about it again? Maybe he was trying to keep a secret. Maybe he had connection with Trump then. I don't know. Okay, just asking some questions for you guys to think about on your own. Okay, a lot of people don't know why Jamie Dimon is flipping bullish on Bitcoin. Me neither. But again, I think the signal of this video is this really cool little image that I found today. Okay, Bitcoin is anti-fascist technology. Bitcoin is anti-imperial technology. Bitcoin is anti-ruling class technology. It's anti-communist, anti-forever war technology, anti-mega corporation tech, and it is anti-tyrant technology, okay? I think that's a really interesting thought that you guys should really be thinking about today. Everybody's really getting swept up in the whole orange man good, orange man bad debate. Everybody's getting really swept up with the Joe Biden debate. You know, is Trump, going to be more capitalist than the more communistic China? Okay, what I'm trying to show you and highlight for you guys today is it doesn't matter right now. Both sides of the aisle are having no other choice but to embrace Bitcoin. Even Joe Biden more recently had to do a pivot on his Bitcoin stance. Okay, it's very interesting. Even China, the most totalitarian country in the world, has even had to, looks like they're doing a little pivot in their Bitcoin stance. Okay, we all know that this still has about China has about 20% of the global Bitcoin mining hash rate in the country, even after banning Bitcoin and going to war with Bitcoin in March 2021. So we always know that there's been some sort of rumors happening with China. So again, I think that's a nice takeaway to really think about in today's video. Donald Trump is still involving himself with China and Taiwan. He says that Taiwan should pay for US protection, and that should worry shareholders of NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Tesla. That could potentially open up a whole nother rabbit hole. I want to check on the chat. We have a lively chat. Welcome to the 680 of you guys watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're always blessed to have so many of you guys tuning in, which is really cool. So in the chat, I can see McLovin, the Bears are awfully quiet this day. That's a great point. Where are all the Bears? Only 2 weeks ago, the Bears were saying, look, Bitcoin's headed to $52,000. It's heading to $44,000. Not anymore, apparently. The Bears are awfully quiet. I'm just going to take a quick drink while I read this comment from McLovin. Trump wants to beat Medicare like JB. Whatever America decides with Medicare, they're going to have to make a pretty big decision. There's $200 trillion of unfunded liabilities in America right now that needs paying. That's going to be a rabbit hole to tackle. Okay, I think that's most of the comments. Don't forget White House's adoptions on their platform. Once cleared their compliance, September and December. Dan M., one of the regulars here, makes a great point. The White Houses are also getting into Bitcoin. We briefly touched on this in another live stream that I can't even remember which one it was. We've done 6 live streams in the past 48 hours. So I think I remember the article that I saw it in, though. It was, from memory, it was Bernstein Alliance came out and was actually talking about how all of the big wirehouses are going to get into Bitcoin pretty soon. I can't find the story, so I apologize about that. But you're on the money then, Dan. When those wirehouses clear, it's more adoption for Bitcoin. It's going to be happening in a really, really big way. Sean, 2024, we get the ETFs. 2025, global and corporate adoption. Brace for it. Agree, Sean. I think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I think it's interesting that we're already seeing this really exponential phase of adoption right now. Like, we already have a ton of publicly traded companies getting into Bitcoin today in 2024. It's happening. It's already accelerating. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw the live stream I did earlier on my personal channel, but I said, look at all these publicly traded companies announcing Bitcoin buys this year, sending their stock price bananas. Metaplanet announces a 6 million Bitcoin buy, and guess what happens to their stock? You guys can see it. It went absolutely parabolic. Metaplanet now owns $10 million worth of Bitcoin, and they're openly announcing that they're going to be borrowing fiat to go out there and buy more Bitcoin. We also can see that their stock price is up 400% since they announced this Bitcoin play this year. Okay, again, Q1 2024. Who else did that in Q1 2024? Let's have a look. DeFi Technologies. What happened to their stock price? Also went bananas after they announced the $6 to $7 million Bitcoin buy. Their stock's up 200%. But guess who else? Some people will say, Luke, they're tiny companies. They're only, $10, $20 million market cap companies. Who cares what DeFi Technologies and Metaplanet, some Japanese company, are doing? A lot of people say that to me, and I say, okay, I'll raise you one. What about Semler Scientific? We can see they're a $223.49 million company, and their stock price is up 70% since they announced that they were going to be buying $40 million worth of Bitcoin. They were going to embrace Bitcoin as their treasury asset, and they're even going to issue $150 million of stock in the future to go out there and buy more Bitcoin. Okay, so again, very interesting. Corporations, I believe, in this tweet that I'm showing you that has all the charts, I say pretty clearly, 2024 will be remembered as the year of the Michael Saylor copycats. So I definitely agree with that comment. The year of the Michael Saylor copycats is coming soon. Ryan says Russia holds none. Publicly, Russia holds no Bitcoin. I would be shocked if Putin did not have a big stash of Bitcoin. Hodling Chris, great video about El Salvador passport. Okay, yeah, okay. So for those who missed that, I did go live earlier talking about some different strategies, actually 5 different strategies that you guys can implement to get a passport in El Salvador. You can see that is over on my Nomading channel. That was the most recent video that Pam and I went live in. She's holding the El Salvador passport in that thumbnail. I'm holding the Australian one because a lot of people saying, look, $1 million for a passport, that's a bit steep. I can't really pay $1 million for a passport in El Salvador, but there's actually 5 different ways you can get one. And there's some really interesting fast tracks that you guys can take to get your hands on one of those El Salvadorian passports. So we did a video breaking down all of those strategies that Pam and I are looking for myself to get an El Salvador citizenship, because there are lots of different ways aside from just marrying a Salvadorian and obviously getting an expedited process instead of spending 5 years living in the country of El Salvador as a resident. If you marry a Salvadorian, you can do that in 2 years, okay, if you're a foreigner. If you're a Spanish person or a Latino person and you marry a Salvadorian, you can do it in 1 year. Okay, that's just one of the cool little tips and tricks. There's a few more. Eric says, Bears got stomped. They did get stomped. They certainly did get stomped. Who knows about sideways price action, McLovin? I honestly don't have a strong opinion. I do have a strong opinion that historically Bitcoin performs very well in September, October, November, December, January. Those last kind of 6 months and the last 3 to 4 months of the year, and January, February always seems to be good months for Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. For anyone who wants to check out that Nomad channel, we will pop a link in the chat as well. And speaking about other videos that you guys might have missed, a lot of people have been surprised that Stripe is actually getting into Bitcoin. Okay, so if you missed that video yesterday, for those who don't know, I mean, Stripe is a $65 billion company, and they process over $1 trillion worth of transactions every year. They're the biggest fintech company. They're bigger than SoFi. They're bigger than Robinhood, who is also in the top 10. But Stripe has just kind of done a little bit of a Bitcoin backflip. And we did a video or a live stream yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, streamed 1 day ago. You can see that's the thumbnail in the middle of the screen. And they've done a Bitcoin backflip. After stopping to accept Bitcoin in 2018, okay, after accepting Bitcoin in 2014, one of the earliest companies to really accept Bitcoin, embrace Bitcoin, and try to work with Bitcoin, Stripe ended their Bitcoin relationship in 2018. They went a little bit crypto curious in 2022, saying, look, we stopped Bitcoin support, but we're going to do US dollar stablecoin support now. And now more recently, they're back into Bitcoin. They're allowing their customers to buy some Bitcoin. So again, highly recommend you check out that live stream from yesterday if you didn't see it. And if you do want to check out that Nomading live stream, looks like Pam's popped. She's popped. I was going to say the words popped and put, and it nearly came out as popped. I've popped a link to that video in the comment right there for you guys to check out the Nomading video if you want to check that out. And if you want more Bitcoin content, like we said, our live stream on Stripe was live here yesterday. So with all that said, guys, stay tuned. This is going to be a big week. We're going to be dropping the biggest interview that we've potentially ever dropped. I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Saylor in Prague at the BTC Prague event, the biggest Bitcoin-only conference in Europe. And I mean, it's Michael Saylor. What can I say? Whenever Michael Saylor talks, brilliance flows. Okay, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you are notified when that video drops. Some people say that they don't get the notifications from YouTube, so hit that little bell notification down below, and hopefully you get notified when that Saylor interview drops. And with all that said, guys, I might end this video here. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Really hope you enjoyed the rest of your